Well, summer is officially upon us. It's baseball season, election season, flag waving season. The time for baseball, hot dogs, apple pie, and Chevrolet. Yep, just like the good old, let's make that the great old days in America. But last night in Birmingham, Alabama, where Major League Baseball put on a showcase highlighting the accomplishments of players from the Negro Leagues, Hall of Famer and baseball icon Reggie Jackson, who played in Birmingham back in 1967 with the Athletics AA team. Well, he had plenty of memories about that great time in America, that time so many people seem to yearn for. Well, at least if you take them at face value by the baseball caps that sit on top of their heads. Jackson joined Alex Rodriguez and my man David Ortiz to candidly recall his personal experiences as a black player in Alabama during the 60s. At times he choked up. At other times he drove a fastball right into the heart of our national debate about making America great again and exactly when that was. Well, here's a preview.
We went to Charlie Finley's country club for a welcome home dinner, and they pointed me out with the N-word. He can't come in here. Finley marched the whole team out. Finally, they let me in there.
But before we show you the full, thought-provoking, and vitally important recounting of his days both as a premier young player and as a secondary citizen, let's consider the oft-asked question about what, where, and when was America really at its greatest? Is it a realistic remembrance, or is it a time informed by Trump-induced nostalgia? Hey, let's see what fake journalist Ted Koppel revealed in a report from just a few years back about America's longing to return home, in this case to the fictional shining town on the hill, Mayberry RFD.
Let it be said, the town isn't doing a whole lot to undermine the illusion. Now, I know you came here to have a good time and not to talk politics. Tell me what you think happened on January 6th at Congress.
They showed truckloads of people that they were bringing in for this. It was all staged, and that's how that started. They even showed pictures of it on the news about these vehicles coming in with all these BLM people.
Now, 4 years later, when asked the same question, many Republicans have taken the time to form a more accurate opinion about the topic which they are so deeply motivated by and so personally committed to.
When was America last great?
For me, I would say the turning point for our country was 1913, when we passed the 17th Amendment. And what's
so like back when like women couldn't vote?
Yeah, back up, but again, let's
like that
go
was,
back.
Like, that's kind of your sweet spot right there?
Absolutely.
What year was America great?
When it was founded.
Except for the slavery stuff.
Except for the slavery stuff.
When did we last have it, if it's again?
I feel like we did have that when President Trump was in office.
What does that mean? What is again? When was America great?
Well, that question right there says everything that I need to know about you, that you don't really think America was ever great at any time. So the people that hate America will always say, well, when was it ever great? It's just not a very good attitude to have, in my opinion.
Hey, I don't hate America. I just hate the Yankees. And that's why I respectfully doff my cap to Mr. Jackson in the clip we're about to watch from the historic game at Rickwood Field. But today, as the tide of racism rises again and crests over our national discourse, it parts the sea between noble character and unsavory characters. Well, it's a beautiful day for a ball game. Let's play two. Check out this incredibly honest moment everyone should see. Reggie Jackson steps up to the plate and drives home a message that speaks directly to those previous questions, and that should echo over this long, hot summer.
How emotional is it for you to come back to a play that you played with one of the greatest teams around?
Alex, when people ask me a question like that, it's like, coming back here is not easy. The racism that I played here, when I played here, the difficulty of going through different places where we traveled. Fortunately, I had a manager and I had players on the team that helped me get through it. But I wouldn't wish it on anybody. People said to me today, I spoke, and they said, you think you're a better person, you think you won when you played here in Concord. I said, you know, I would never want to do it again. I walked into restaurants and they would point at me and said, "Can't eat here." I would go to a hotel and they say, "The Knicks can't stay here." We went to Charlie Finley's country club for a welcome home dinner and they pointed me out with the N-word. "He can't come in here." Finley marched the whole team out. Finally, they let me in there. He said, "We're going to go to the diner and eat hamburgers. We'll go where we're wanted." Fortunately, I had a manager, Johnny McNamara, that if I couldn't eat in the place, nobody would eat. We'd get food to travel. If I couldn't stay in a hotel, they'd drive to the next hotel and find a place where I could stay. Had it not been for Raleigh Fingers, Johnny McNamara, Dave Duncan, Joe and Sharon Rudy, I slept on their couch 3-4 nights a week for about a month and a half. Finally, they were threatened that they would burn our apartment complex down unless I got out. I wouldn't wish it on anyone.
Sadly, racism is a national pastime for many, and for some, it's even a passion, but not for all, same as it ever was. Judging others as better or inferior, well, that's a game for losers. One thing we certainly have lost today is this. In the revisionist desire to return to a past that never really was, we lose the chance to learn from a past that could make our country truly great again. Like in 1949, right after World War II, you might say, this is what made America great.
Look, fellas, religion makes no difference, except maybe to a Nazi or somebody as stupid. God created everybody. He didn't create one people better than another. Your blood's the same as mine. Mine's the same as his. Do you know what this wonderful country is made of? It's made up of 100 different kind of people, and 100 different ways of talking, and 100 different ways of going to church. But they're all American ways.
Or in the 60s, bucking institutional discrimination. That was the stuff of American greatness.
Just a year earlier, Marilyn had succeeded in breaking the color barrier by getting one of her favorite singers, Ella Fitzgerald, booked into Los Angeles' Mocambo nightclub.
Marilyn loved Ella Fitzgerald, and Marilyn made a deal with the head of the nightclub that if they would book her, she would come every night. Marilyn would show up every night.
There are two definitions of greatness afoot in this country. One is distinguished by humanity, not Hannity, by empathy, not apathy, distinguished by a God-given voice.
And the living is easy.
And not a she-devil screech.
Why don't you go talk about Jewish space lasers, and really, why don't you off? How about that?
Stay cool, because this summer I worry the living won't be easy.